Imagine waking up every morning wondering if your government has intentionally exposed you to lethal radiation and is lying to you about it. That living nightmare is the daily reality of thousands of our nuclear test veterans and their families.
70 years ago, Sir Winston Churchill authorised the first British nuclear test, and you were called on to serve.
It's the longest scandal in British history.
There was a white flash.
When this takes place, thousands of tons of atomized earth, stone, brick and steel are sucked up into the mushroom cloud and become highly radioactive.
We saw this huge ball of burning flame, and underneath it was this white tail following it up. There was a big, thick, black line hurtling toward us, and it hit us.
Between 1952 and 1967, an estimated 22,000 UK troops were involved in 45 nuclear weapons tests and nearly 600 radioactive experiments in America, Australia and the South Pacific.
I was 19 years old when I was posted to RAF Chrysalis Island as a young cook. Not a clue of where I was, where it was, how I was going to get there, what I was going to do. It was just a case of you going to Chrysalis Island. It turned out to be where the British government tested hydrogen bombs.
Around 10% of troops were on national service.
Veteran John Morris was stationed on Christmas Island in the South Pacific in the 1950s.
I was there for 4 atomic bombs. The nearest was 20 miles away. And I had a pair of shorts, a shirt on and sunglasses. And it was like sitting in the centre of the sun.
Today, only 2,000 or so, most in their 80s and with chronic health problems, still survive. They report high rates of cancer, blood disease, birth defects, miscarriage and infant mortality. But their medical records, detailing blood and urine tests taken to assess what impact these tests might be having on their bodies, are mysteriously missing.
John developed anemia and was later diagnosed with cancer, like many others he served with. He went on to have children, but his son died when he was a baby. John believes it's all because of radiation and says his medical records from the time should show this.
I know for a fact that I had urine and blood samples taken.
If the state was conducting medical tests upon servicemen and not informing them when they found serious irregularity, that is at the very least misconduct in public office. And more serious perhaps, gross negligence manslaughter in respect of people who died as a result.
Steve Pearce was born with a series of disabilities. His father David ran an airfield in Australia where nuclear weapons tests were carried out. Steve has been trying to get hold of his dad's medical files.
I had an email just this week from the RAF saying, yes, the MOD search has found the information you require, but no, you can't have him. And they're quoting some law about confidentiality. What they're hiding. It's as if they know that what Dad was exposed to probably caused my condition, and they just don't want me to have him.
Despite always denying it held information about blood testing, the atomic weapons establishment has recently been forced to declassify a top-secret database which contained thousands of pages of information about the program. And documentary evidence has been uncovered that atomic scientists took blood tests from the servicemen as part of a monitoring program. The results were classified as scientific data, which has been used as an excuse to keep them from survivors and their families, even today. Modern-day defence ministers have refused to publish the advice they've received about these vital records. Based on this new evidence, the veterans and their families are launching a landmark legal action to end 7 decades of trauma caused by secrecy and cover-ups by successive governments.
We are witnesses to a live cover-up. We are witnesses to misconduct in public office. And if we don't act, we become complicit in that live cover-up and complicit in misconduct in public office.
The MOD has shamelessly refused to engage with the veteran's case, refused an offer of a special tribunal, or even to answer the central question: where are the medical records?
I asked the government to order that one-year inquiry and to do it immediately without any delay. But I am not prepared to be complicit. And I will go to the police by the end of this year with evidence that you have got, Susan, if we do not get movement.
The comments made by Mr. Burnham are not surprising, given the failure to provide these records is unlawful and may even constitute a criminal offence. Hiding this kind of information behind national security exemptions could also lead to prosecutions for misconduct in public office.
I have to say, it's always sometimes bad to create a hierarchy of injustices, but this is the greatest. People serving our country abroad, 22,000 of them, just put absolutely into harm's way. This is, I'm afraid, the greatest outstanding injustice of them all.
Britain's nuclear test veterans are national heroes. This country owes them and their families a huge debt of honour and gratitude. But instead, successive governments have stonewalled them and subjected them to decades of maltreatment and injustice. And now they have one last chance to sue the government for the toxic legacy of trauma and illness that they and their families have had to endure. And they need our help, yours and mine, to crowdfund their case to do it, to finally get access to their medical records and the answers they have so desperately sought for so long. So let's show these national heroes that they are not alone, that we have not and never will abandon them. Let's show them that by standing shoulder to shoulder with them now, and by honouring the enormous sacrifice they've made for this country. You can donate to the crowdfunding page by clicking the link with this film. Let's now get this done, together.